This first one, remember we have to do them in the order, stretch, reflect, translate. Our equations always have to be in y equals, and we always have to have a 1 in front of the variable. So x, or in this case, theta. Or no, this one is an x, that one's a theta. So this one has a 1 in front, so we're good to go, correct? And it's in y equals. So we have a vertical stretch by a factor of what? And I'll answer at once. 1/3. Y stay the same, x's be crazy, right? About the x-axis. Our reflection is with the y, so it's a reflection in the x-axis. We have a horizontal phase shift. Make sure you wrote it right. Pi over 2, right? And a vertical displacement to what? Yeah. Forgot the units. 2 units up. So our xy becomes, what happens to our x's? Pardon? What'd you do? X plus. Yeah, comma, negative 1/3 y plus 2. Okay. If I don't give you a C value, remember it's A, B, C, D, right? A, B, C, D. A is vertical stretch reflection. B is your horizontal stretch reflection. C is your horizontal phase shift. D is your vertical displacement. If I don't give you a C, I have to tell you what units it's in. Because the C gives away if it's degrees or radians. If there is no C, I have to tell you. Because you wouldn't know. Right? So this one is in radians. Because your C value is in radians. So, does my amplitude change? What's my amplitude normally? 1, the absolute value of A, correct? What's the absolute value of this A? 1/3. So my amplitude equals 1/3. What's my midline? Y equals what? 2. Because normally it's 0. The only thing that can move my midline is that vertical displacement, correct? So did my amplitude change? Yes. My range? Yes. What about the period? No. What about the domain? X and y intercepts? Yes. So to get my range, I have to get my maximum. How do I get my maximum? Remember we went off to the side before and we did y equals 2. We did our midline. And then we went up 1/3 and down 1/3. We agree? So what's 2 plus 1/3? 7/3, because it's going to be 6 over 3 plus 1/3, right? And then what's 2 minus 1/3? 5/3. So, okay. So maximum is 7/3. Minimum is 5/3. So our range is going to be y such that 5/3 is less than or equal to y is less than or equal to 7/3 y-er. Or in interval notation, square bracket is equal to 5/3, 7/3, square bracket. Now the period has to be in radians, yes? So it's 2 pi. What's the only thing that changes the period? Horizontal stretch. You can make it wider or narrower, correct? Is there a horizontal stretch on this thing? No. So what's the period? 2 pi. Didn't change. Okay, this one I have to actually take that half out. So I get y equals sine 1/2 theta minus 30 degrees. Do I have anything affecting y's here? No. What is my amplitude? 1, because there's a 1 sitting here, correct? What's my midline? Y equals what? 0, right? Plus 0 at the back. So I have a line at y equals 0, and I'm going to go up 1. So my maximum is at 1. I'm going to go down 1. So my min is at -1. So I have, my x's be crazy, so I have a horizontal stretch by a factor of 2 about the y-axis. I know we're going to skip ahead here, but let's think about it. I have a horizontal stretch by a factor of 2. That means my horizontal stuff's being stretched times 2 times what it normally was, correct? My question is in degrees, correct? So what's my period going to be? I'm going to go 360 degrees times 2 because the horizontal stretch, right? So I get 720 degrees. Sure, blue box can stay there. Everyone's following along? Okay, then I have a horizontal translation, which I don't call horizontal translation, I call horizontal phase shift, only in trig. 30 degrees right. And this one I don't have to write units for, because degrees is the unit. Could I go pi over 2 radians right? Instead of putting units? Yes, I could use radians and degrees in these ones, correct? Okay, the amplitude, did it change? It was 1, it is 1. So it didn't change. What about the range? What about the period? What about the domain? No, it's XER. So the only way the domain would change is if I give you a restricted one and then ask you to double it, right? What about x and y intercepts? Yes. All right. What is the range? So we're going to go y such that -1 is less than or equal to y is less than or equal to 1. Y is number of the reals. Or -1 and 1. Seven. What units is 7 in? Pardon? Radians. Because of our C value. Our C value is in radians, right? What is our amplitude? It's the absolute value of A. And what is A? 1. So it's 1. What's our midline? Y equals 0, because I would have a plus 0 at the back, because my midline is my D value, right? All right. So for this one, we have amplitude, we have midline. We are going to have, our midline is y equals 0. Our amplitude is 1. So if I go up 1, my maximum is 1. If I go down 1, my min is -1. So did my amplitude change? Did my range change? It's -1 to 1. We're going based off of the basic cos function, right? Basic cos function has an amplitude of 1, so does this one. It has a range of -1 to 1, so does this one. Did the period change? I have a 3 sitting in front, so I'm going to end up multiplying by what? 1 over 3. So this is going to change. My domain isn't, and these are. So let's talk about some words here. I didn't do mapping for the last one, hey? Dumb me. This is going to be x, y becomes 2x plus 30 degrees. Hold on. Sorry. Oh wait, this one has no y things happening either. So I have a horizontal stretch. By a factor of 1/3. About the y-axis. And a horizontal translation, which I call phase shift. Pi over 2 radians, if I so choose. Right. my mapping is going to be x, y becomes, remember words in mapping are in a heart, correct? So my xy is going to become 1/3 x plus pi over 2, because words in mapping are the same, comma y. What is my range? It's from -1 to 1. Y is such that -1 is less than or equal to y is less than or equal to 1. In set notation, if I want to do interval, I can do -1 to 1. I need to know both notations because they can ask for either or. Correct? The period. The period is normally 2 pi because it's in radians, correct? What am I multiplying it by? 1/3. So I can either go 2 pi times the horizontal stretch, or, remember I told you the period? You could just go 2 pi divided by the b value. And people think the b value is the horizontal stretch. No, the b value is the b. Ooh, wow, don't know what I just did. The b value is the b value, correct? So I can either go 2 pi divided by 3, which is 2 pi over 3, or I can go 2 pi times the horizontal stretch, which is 1/3, which is 2 pi over 3. I'd result in the same thing. The problem with this is that people will mix the two together, and they'll go 2 pi divided by the horizontal stretch. That makes no sense, right? The horizontal stretch should be multiplied if you're doing it. If you use the b value, you can just go 2 pi divided by 3. Up to you which way you go. Don't mix the two together, though. All right. In general, boys, in general for y, Nico, y equals a sine b theta minus c plus d, and y equals cos b theta plus c. What does the a represent? The amplitude, or the what? Vertical stretch. And what we should say here for amplitude is absolute value of a. So if it's a 2, our answer is going to be 2. If our a is a -2, our answer is going to be 2. Right? Amplitude is always positive. All right. B represents the what? Horizontal stretch. Which would technically be 1 over b. We agree? The period of the graph is found by using b in the formula 2 pi over b. Or 360 degrees over b if it's in degree mode. Or we could take, what? 2 pi and multiply by the horizontal stretch, or 360 degrees and multiply by the horizontal stretch. Okay, C represents the what?
Horizontal phase shift.
Horizontal phase shift. The equation must be in the form what? What has to be in front of the x? Yeah, so it has to be like +1 x plus c, or it could be +1 theta minus c, right? But the key thing here is that these have to have 1s in front. Okay, what does D represent? The midline, or in this case, the vertical displacement. Or we could say midline, y equals b. And the range can be found by doing what? Your maximum, which would be d plus amplitude, or absolute value of a. And your minimum would be d minus amplitude. Y equals midline. Amplitude. So your max is your midline plus amplitude. And your min is midline minus amplitude. Then we're technically flipping over 2 pages. We're bypassing the next page going to the left. So what we've answered the questions on is if I give you an equation, give me all the information about it, right? That's what we've done. On the last page, I'm giving you information and asking for an equation, correct? Okay. So, try it out. This is in the form A sine B x minus c plus d. Given this information, fill in A, B, C, and D. Okay, so y equals A sine B x minus c, given its characteristics. Amplitude of 2, where does that go? Don't all speak at once. Before the sign. Horizontal phase shift to pi over 3 to the left. It's an x, so I get x plus pi over 3. Vertical displacement 1 down, minus 1. Was there a period? Oh, period of pi. I missed this. Like, totally scratched right over it. Period of pi. What does my b have to be? 2. Why? Because it would be a half, right? A horizontal stretch. Remember, you can also use this. So if period equals 2 pi over b, then we can swap these. B equals 2 pi over period. Correct? We could just use that formula as well. So we could technically go 2 pi divided by pi, and it's a 2. Or we know that there has to be a horizontal stretch of a half, right? And then we put in a 2. All right, remember that b is bigger. B is bigger than 1 if the period is less than 2 pi. B is less than 1 if the period is bigger than 2 pi, if it got bigger. All right, so amplitude is a quarter. We get y equals 1/4. The period is 6 pi. What has to happen to the period? What do we have to multiply by to get 6 pi? 3. So what's our b going to be? 1/3. Remember, you can just use the formula. B equals 2 pi divided by period. So 2 pi divided by 6 pi, which is 1/3. Same thing, correct? You can just use the formula. And then we get x plus pi plus 2. Then here we're going to get y equals 4. Period of 540. So sometimes that's hard to do. But we can go 360 degrees divided by the period, which is 540 degrees. And what happens when I divide those two? What do we get? Two over 3. 3/2 is the horizontal stretch, but the b would be 2/3. Remember, you can use this formula, and if you like the formula, you can put it on your formula sheet. B equals 2 pi divided by the period, or 360 degrees divided by the period, right? If you like the formula, put it on your formula sheet so you can remember it. So you can either b equals 2 pi over the period, if I need the b from the equation, or b equals 360 degrees divided by p. Right? If I have the period, I can get b. If I have b, I can get the period using that formula, because they just swap out. So I'm going to get sine 2/3 x minus 60 degrees minus 3. Okay, the next one is cos. So we have the graph of y equals cos x is transformed as described. Determine the transformed equation in the form y equals a cos bx minus c. So we have a vertical stretch by a factor of 1/3. So that's going to go in front. Cos, horizontal stretch by a factor of 2. When it goes into the equation, remember words to equation, it flips, correct? Because it'd be crazy. I'm going to get a half. Horizontal phase shift 30 right, x minus 30 degrees. Vertical displacement 5 down. Then B, we have a vertical stretch by a factor of 4. Horizontal stretch by a factor of 1/4, so I'm going to get 4. Horizontal phase shift pi over 2 to the left, so I'm going to get plus pi over 2. And then plus 3. Yeah? This is your homework. I'm going to make you do not as much of it. It's page 250. So, I want you to not sketch the graph. I don't care about sketching. I want you to do 1B, don't sketch. It's a sketch D, so that would be out anyway. Then I want you to do 2F. Three, 1 and 2, 4, and then 6AC, 7AC. So 1B, I'll rewrite it down here. 1B, 2F, no sketching, graphs, 3, remember 1 and 2, 4. 4 doesn't have parts to it, but 6AC, 7AC. You do have about 12 minutes-ish, or 14. I don't even know that clock's out. 14 minutes. If you worked hard, I bet you could finish those. Not even joking. And you can get your bucks.